Hello. I've already tried recording this video once, but to be honest, it was a bit of a train wreck, and I imagine this one is going to be a bit of a train wreck as well. So I'm just going to preface this by saying this probably isn't going to be the most visually interesting videos you've ever seen, so if you want to tab out, play some Showdown, do some shiny hunting, whatever, whilst you're listening to me ramble, feel free to do so. Otherwise, it's just going to be me in my face. Hello, by the way. I look wildly different to the last time I uploaded on this channel. For a plethora of reasons that aren't really relevant to this video, so I won't go into them. It's been a while since I uploaded on this channel, or just uploaded in general. So I will give everyone a bit of a refresher of who I am, and why I am here, I suppose. So hi, my name's Ellie, and this video is inspired by Dr. Slacking, aka Matt, from the Draft League community in Pokemon. And his recent video discussing the problems within the community and why it's not as successful as it once was. And I thought I would chip in and give my kind of perspective from a more kind of casual standpoint. I think it's really important with discussions that you kind of see views from each side, where I may not seem as relevant these days or whatever to the Draft League community. I still think it's a healthy perspective to have. Which is why I'm making this video. And also I like giving my opinions on things because I'm a very opinionated and annoying person. So with that out of the way, I've been on YouTube now for nearly 9 years. I started uploading when I was 18 and I am turning 27 this year, which is terrifying. I started off doing Nuzlocke and then I got discovered by Pyrotos, who then encouraged me to go to competitive Pokemon. So then I started doing OU sessions, and then eventually Draft League format came around. So I've kind of been in the competitive scene for the last 7 years, both on and off laddering and Draft League content. If you delve back on this channel and on my previous channel, you would have seen that I've been in the likes of the PTL, the PPL and the GBAD League, all three of which I have had some fantastic memories in. I've made lifelong friends. I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm dating, you know, because of Draft League, I am now with my partner that I've been with for 5 years nearly. Draft League has been very good for me, but it's also been very bad and very unhealthy for, you know, reasons which I will go into in a minute. Yeah, so that's kind of my experience with the Draft League. I'm currently in a Showdown League, the PTL, the Pokemon Tri-League, which is run by my boyfriend, which I've just mentioned. I'm already repeating myself. Brilliant. I have also done Wi-Fi battles in the past, but it was a different era back then, which is mainly the reason why I think it was so successful. So I guess these days, the problem with Draft League community, in my opinion, is that it's just not entertaining. And that's fine. Like, not everything has to be entertaining. If you want to come and watch competitive players and tryhards, there is so much content out there for you. Personally, I don't watch it because at the end of the day, I don't want to sit down, log on to YouTube and think, right, what Draft League community or what draft player am I watching today? Because in my opinion, it's all the same. There's been, you know, no new changes to Mons or whatever, which isn't anybody's fault, you know. It's just Pokemon being Pokemon. But not only that, it's also the same 50 to 100 coaches playing the same thing over and over and over and over. And there's only so many times that you can sit and watch something without going insane. Like, nobody wants to sit down, in my opinion, nobody wants to sit down and watch a regen core fucking pivot around, you know, Rocky Helmet spam. Like, nobody wants to watch that. There's no fun to it. There's no creative niche, there's no memes, there's no personality. That's not to say that everyone that plays Draft League is boring, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the reason you watch Draft League content these days is because of the competitiveness and the competition. Nobody has been brought in by anyone's personality in particular. Which is why back in the day, GBA was so successful, because you had all of these content creators playing competitive. It's now competitive Pokemon players now trying to be entertaining, and it's just not how that works. You can't do both. It's how Matt put it, is you can't do both. You can't both be a top tier player and, make all these intricate plays, and be just amazing at the game. You know, something I could never be. Because, let's be honest, I'm just an avid shitpost. Half the time, I make plays that make no sense. But that's why I was... Not to shit my own ass, not to eat my own ass. I had some mild success on the platform when I did upload because, you know, I had a bit of personality to me, and you can say that now. Like, I'm quite loud and quite a bit mental, but that was kind of my USP, I guess. I am a walking shitpost. I am a meme lord. And I don't take myself too seriously, which is, you know, a USP, I suppose. And again, that kind of brings me on to my next point with League play. There aren't any USPs. So from like a marketing perspective, you want to set yourself out from the rest. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, every single league these days are the same. You've got similar point margins, you've got extremely similar rule sets, there's nothing that kind of makes anything stand out from each other. And when there's, you know, when it's between a niche community of friends and competitive players, that's fine. But you can't then expect that to be expanded to a wider audience on YouTube and wanting to bring on lots of viewers and new players, when half the time it's the same shit recycled over and over again. Again, that's not me saying people are boring or, you know, there's no spice to it, you know? I don't want to sit down and watch something that I've seen before. With the D-League it was different. With GBA it was different because you had each season they tried to do different personalities, there were different, you know, there were storylines with it. You know, there was, every week there was drama between coaches. Obviously it was, you know, fake for entertainment purposes, but there was drama between coaches. You know, there were pre-game speeches. There was so much effort put in in terms of marketing and stuff like that. And these days you just don't get it. And it's kind of, I guess, reached the point of laziness. God, it sounds like I'm really attacking people here. That's not my intention. Draft League has got lazy, and I think part of the reason is because it's the only die-hard veterans left playing it. There's no room for a casual audience, and there's no place for a casual player. You know, 6-7 years ago when I started doing League content, you know, I did alright. You know, I got runner-up a couple of times. I haven't got a title myself, and I probably never will have. And that's fine with me, because at the end of the day, I play it for a laugh. I do love the competitive side of it, but there's always going to be someone better than me, and that's fine. And especially these days when it comes to competitive play, there are players that are just like, up here. Vepsis and Shuckle King, that are like up here, and I'm like down here, like, you guys get up there? The skill ceiling is just so high these days compared to what it was, and that's why I think a lot of people could just commentate their videos back in the day and be entertaining, because it was all new. After 6 years of League play, it's just insane the level of skill difference there is. So there's no room for casual players, and there's no market for it on YouTube because of that. You know, for example, look at the last season of the GBA with A-Drive and Patty Trills and Chase in it. In my rampant keyboard mashing, I managed to somehow stop recording my video. But as I was saying, you had keyboard warriors that were going, why are these people in these leagues? They made this misplay, and someone else is prepping for them, and they switched in this one when they could have done this. And there are so many shitters in those people's comment sections, and it drove people away. How do you expect the draft community to thrive and be successful when half the time you're telling people that they're shit at the game, they don't deserve the place where they are in the league, or, you know, all this kind of negative shit? Like, nobody wants to hear that. And if you want the big leagues, like fucking, I don't know, A-Drive, again, like, as much as a meme as he is in the competitive community, he has a massive audience, and you guys fucked that up for yourselves, because you could not resist telling him how bad he was at the game. And that is half of the community's problem, is the elitism. Elitism? That's not a word. The elitism in the community and how toxic everybody is. And it's the same with every fucking community. I play Overwatch for 6 hours a day. Probably 3 out of every 10 matches I get told to kill myself. I love the game. I play it at a very high level compared to a casual player. You know, I've hit Grandmasters, I've hit top 500, I've been in basically every rank of the game. The higher up you get, the worse and worse it gets with the toxicity, and it's just it's no different in Draft League. I was to get one of my IRL friends to join a league or whatever, or if I was to join one of the big leagues and I made a questionable play, everyone would fucking rag the shit out of me. Like, you have to have a tough skin, I think, personally, to play with the bigwigs, because they'll eat you alive otherwise. I mean, look at Chase. Chase set up a league with the intention of reviving it, you know, the Draft League community, and he did this a couple of years ago. He paid for GFX out of his own back pocket, and nobody asked him to do that, nobody expected him to do that, but he did. It wasn't even his own league, and he did so much for them. You know, he commissioned Pedro so they had top-notch graphics, made sure that there was a consistent schedule, he was doing a lot of admin work, and the community just turned around and shit in his face. He did so much, and tried to bring so much publicity and liveliness to the competitive scene and the Draft League community, and you shit down his throat for it. You can't sit there and expect, for one thing, you can't sit there and expect that people want to watch the same fucking thing all over again, but you can't expect there to be loads of views for something where you're not inviting. You don't have a reason for casual players. There is no reason that they want to come and watch your videos, because the majority of you are just dickheads. I say the majority. It's not a majority. I know it's a small, I know it's a minority, but they're so loud, and there's very little support for casual players. I will use myself as an example here. I like to bring stupid sets that shouldn't work but do in the matchup. For example, Sticky Barb, Trick Sticky Barb. I am an avid connoisseur of the shit meme that is Trick Sticky Barb. Every time Jack posts in his front office, what do I bring? That is the first thing I will say, because that's just how I am. I'm just a memer. Like, I am not a top level player, and that's fine. Again, that's fine. And I will try and bring stats that catch people off guard, and that's just my style of play. But if I was to do that in, I don't know, one of the top regarded showdown leagues or Wi-Fi leagues, I'd get ragged on for it. Like, why the fuck would you bring that? That's such a bad set. You got all this. And no casual player thinks to themselves, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to endure that every week. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, I want to be harassed for being a shit player. No one associates Draft League and welcoming, you know? There's nothing that brings casual players in. There's no fresh meat. Now, let's move on to another reason. It's also incredibly oversaturated. The market. So many people have got leagues nowadays. You know, 5-6 years ago, when it started, GBA was only the real one, because of the time and what was on YouTube and what was offered on YouTube. You know, there weren't many other leagues to compete with, whereas these days, in 2022, everyone and their nan is in a showdown league. They're all the same. It's just oversaturated. There's so many now. Back in a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, you think, oh, I want to watch Mega Mogwai and Cooper's Perspective, Pokemon versus Shady. That's going to be a fucking amazing game. I want to sit down and watch that. You know, there wasn't any other kind of league to sit down and watch. Now, you wake up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There are like 7 different battles on your sub box, and you're just like, okay, I don't have time to sit and watch all of these. I'm going to sit down and pick a few, maybe. But you don't sit down and watch every battle back to back to back to back like you used to. Because it's just, you know, like I say, it's oversaturated. And again, there's no personality to it. There's no life. I don't know, there's no substance. Look at Overwatch as well. Like, so many people are quitting the game because there's no content. Yeah, there's no content. It can be as competitive as you like. It's probably the most competitive it's ever been in terms of players. You've got the Overwatch League, you've got contenders, tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 team grinding the game for 8 hours a day. But so many pro players and streamers have quit that game because there's no changes. It's just the same, and it's been the same for the last 2 years. And that's the problem with Draft League. Very little times where there's been something different for the format. Occasionally a tournament will pop up and there'll be a prize pool, and that's it. And that's also another problem, is there are no incentives. There's no incentives to play in Draft League anymore. There's no viewership, there's no money, there's no prize, there's no this, you get bragging rights. Who the fuck cares? You've won a league, so what? You sit down every day, or you sit down, you know, 2 times a week to do a shitload of calcs, make a team, stress over the team that you're building because it doesn't have answers for everything. You play your game, you win or lose your game, and you do it all again the next week. and you can go to playoffs, you can go 0-12 for a season, you can go 12-0, you can win a title, and none of it fucking matters because you got nothing to show for it, except maybe a Twitter bio and a little bit of recognition between the niche community. There is no incentive, especially for casual players and for the bigwigs. Again, I'm going to mention A-Drive and Patters and Patty Trolls and, you know, all the guys that are up here and we are down here. Nobody knows who we are, and that's fine, that's just how life is. But nobody is getting the attention of these guys. It's because we don't have money. There's no incentive for them to join and be like, hey, yeah, cool idea, but I'm sorry, is that going to put food on the table? Nope, not interested. And they fuck off. And that's fine. That's, at the end of the day, content creation's prerogative is to make views and to make money, and that's just how it is. It's career suicide, basically. Not logical for you to sink all that time and effort and love into making a team every week, making transfers and doing all your research and calcs and watching your opponents battle to see how they play, what their play style's like, what they determine a win con, and shit like that. Why would they put all that time and effort in if there's no reward for it? If you want to bring in more players and more big names and you want to revive the community, you have to take a big fucking look at yourself first and realise that you don't really have a lot to offer. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I think Draft League is fantastic. I think it's a lot of fun. And I like sitting down every week, you know, for a day and putting that time and effort in, because if it does pay off, then great. But I know that because I'm not a content creator, it doesn't matter. Like, I have the luxury of that time to spend. And thankfully, PTL is full of my friends. I've got a lot of friends in there. Not everyone has the time, or not everyone wants the time. You know, even if they have the time, they don't want to sit down and do that. So they'll get someone else to do it for them, and then they'll be shit on for it. You know, someone will have a front office. Like, look at Christian, for example. Fucking Faint Attacks. He'll have a front office, and sometimes, you know, he had people build for him and explain this does this and that's to switch into this, and people ragged on him for it. So you either sit down and build your own teams if you've got the time, and if it's a bad team you get shot on for it. You sit down, build your own teams, you win the league, whatever, you don't get any recognition or reward for it, barely. Or you sit down, you have the content audience, you don't have the time, someone else does it for you, and you're ragged on for it. So there's no winning. You can't please everyone. And I feel like that's half the problem with the Draft League, is that you want to adhere to both sides of the spectrum. You want to appeal to the competitive players, but you also want to appeal to the creation side of YouTube, and you just can't do that. Look at Twitch for the last 3 years. You know, chess was the meta for a while, then it was, I don't know, GTA and video games in general, but now it's moved to just chatting and ASMR and IRL streams. Like, the meta for content creation is constantly changing. It's terrifying. So even if, you know, we were in an ideal world in 2022 and we had a big league with, you know, thousands and thousands of views, we could wake up tomorrow and it's just dead and gone because the meta's changed. There's a new big challenge out. Look at all the challenge videos, and from a poker tubing perspective, Nuzlockes are now dying off slowly. They used to be so popular, you know, they've been popular for the last 5-10 years, and now it's dying off to new challenge videos. Look at Smallan, you know, a speedrunner. You've got all these randomizer challenges, you know, even A-Drive has delved into these, and you know, it's more of a focus on Twitch and stream highlights going over to YouTube. Again, one of Draft League's biggest problems is because nobody wants to stream their games because you can get stream sniped. The platform meta is constantly changing, and I feel we are stuck in old time. At the end of the day, the GBA was a brand, in my opinion, played off an actual sports team, whereas now it's just nobody really cares of the sports aspect anymore. I think it's lost a lot of identity in that regard. The Wi-Fi timer. A lot of people bring up this argument all the time. I see people like PokeAim and the fucking, I don't know if Chimpacks talk about it, but everyone's talking about the Wi-Fi timer like it's such a big deal. If it came back tomorrow, it'd be nowhere near as successful as it was. Yeah, maybe PokeAim and MV and Chimpact will come back to League play, but again, they don't have the time to sit down every week and do this, that, and the other. They're going to have a front office, and people are going to shit on them for that. And even then, like, with the timer, you don't want to sit and watch someone calc. Like, take Shady Penguin, for example, back in, I don't know, 2015, 2016. In a GBA match, you know, he'd be debating his play, but he'd also be tabbing out and doing, like, 6 different calcs. Like, nobody wants to sit there and watch that in 2022. Nobody wants to hear, oh, can I just do this, and this? Like, can I take this damage? Oh, do I need to do that? Oh shit, what do I do? Like, I think the timer is a good thing. Or fast-paced playing, I suppose, is way more entertaining, I think, than sitting and doing calcs for a minute and a half every turn. You know, half the time for me, why watching Draft League content when I did was entertaining was because people made those stupid plays. Because they made a risky play and it paid off. You know, you got that hype and they play up to it. Whereas now it's just like, my bad. How can I turn this around and make it into a win con? I don't know. I personally, I don't think adding a timer back will help change things for the Draft League. Yes, it may bring in old faces, but I don't think it will change much. But then again, who am I to know? It could change things around entirely. That's kind of the whole point of the discussion. So on this note, I think I'm going to leave it because I've just kind of said the same shit for the last 30 minutes, an hour. Hopefully I'm going to edit it down so it's a bit more coherent. Thank you if you've watched all this video. Appreciate you. Go show Matt some love. Obviously his link will be in the description. Go show him some love. Go watch that video and see what kind of inspired all this discussion in the first place. And yeah, I guess I will see you guys later. Peace.